now that I've got my glasses on, the lineup for the Whitney Wildcats is as follows. Number 2, Megan Dale.
Welcome to Bella Vista High School in Fair Oaks, California. It's a Friday night for girls high school lacrosse varsity style between the Bella Vista Broncos and the Whitney Wildcats. The Broncos coming into this one at 4-0, 4-1 on the year. They were 4-0 before the Christian Brothers matchup earlier this week. The Whitney Wildcats, they come in at 2-3. We're interested very much to see how the Broncos will bounce back after their first loss of the season at Christian Brothers the other night.
Now, show your Broncos face.
Good evening, everybody. George Tharlson with Aaron Keogh. Welcome to High School Lacrosse on YouTube. The pre-game ceremonies are underway right now. Stick checks and introductions, but a lot of energy I'm sensing right now, and I know that the Broncos are excited to get back on the field. Missing a couple of key players, but 2 key players are back after having to sit out the game at Christian Brothers on Tuesday.
Yeah, I felt like when we left you, George, when we left each other, that we were, we were on a roll and everything, and we were going on this road trip. But now I feel like I just am so happy that we're back on home turf. The Broncos had a good road trip, 2-1 overall. A really wild game at Vintage High School a week ago, and we can probably get into that as the game's going on tonight. But that game resulted in 2 red card penalties for Paige Hackman and Sienna DeMucha that resulted in them not being able to play against Christian Brothers, and Regan Silvers was also out. So, first loss of the season, really anxious to see tonight now how you bounce back. That's the measure of a really good team, is bouncing back after defeat, so we'll see how they do against Whitney.
When last we were on with the impressive win over Rockland, we were talking about that trip to Napa and how big that was and how cool it was that they were going to get that opportunity. They go down there, they win the game. Of course, yeah, it did get wild at the end. There were the 2 red cards late that resulted in the 1-game suspensions. But still, that was impressive on their part.
It was, and what really was a good measure was the fact that as the game goes, so for those not familiar in girls lacrosse, once you have your 4th yellow card on any player on a team, you then have to start playing a player down. And so when the game ended, there were 7 total players, and that includes the goalkeeper for Bella Vista. There were 12 for Vintage. So to win the game being that shorthanded was really an impressive measure of how the team really gelled together. Coach Hackman did a good job calling some strategic timeouts to keep the girls focused on what needed to happen and come out of there with a win.
So they did get that win. And then I remember talking with Scott Hackman before the game on Tuesday at Christian Brothers. He was obviously very concerned because not only was he missing 2 key players, but then we also learned about the injury to Regan Silvers that's going to keep her out at least through next week. And so he was very concerned about that. And unfortunately for Bella Vista, it just was not a typical Bella Vista game on Tuesday because, again, key players missing, players having to step into roles that maybe they're not used to playing, and Christian Brothers really did have the upper hand pretty much throughout that game.
Yeah, I think the best news coming out of the Christian Brothers game is the fact that Regan Silvers wasn't even at that game because her calf strain was in so much pain. She was on crutches and a walking boot, and earlier tonight in the JV game we saw that she's here, she's in a walking boot, but there's no crutches, so that is definitely a sign of good improvement because they certainly need her on the offensive side of the ball.
All right, so we've heard the whistle. The referee is calling the players out. We'll have the ceremonial gathering at midfield here in just a few moments. That happens before every game, and then we'll be on here with the play-by-play action for you here in just a few moments. So hope you're able to stay with us, pull up a chair, and enjoy some high school lacrosse. And actually, everybody's just going into position, so we're not going to. Maybe that's just a boys' thing, where they meet up and then the goalies shake hands and then they go to their respective positions. But
yeah, I think we're just going to draw.
I guess we're just going to go ahead and get this one underway here.
Paige Hackman looks ready to go after having to sit out a game. I think she is eager to control this draw and get some points on the board for the Broncos.
So for the first time since the Vintage game, Paige Hackman will stand in to take the draw. Broncos, of course, are in white, and the Whitney Wildcats are in black. That is Mia Valencia that's taking the draw for Whitney, and the Broncos, they control it, but then the whistle blows.
Hackman's got it.
Looking out in front, Presley Rocker Hooper had the ball in her stick for a moment. Broncos will track it down in the corner. Danny Janeway. And that is Eliza Fisher. Coming from the X position. Here's Julia Thomas. And now Danny Janeway. There's a mass of humanity there. Paige Hackman was also trying to get that loose ball. Some good defense there. Broncos going to try and pick it up, and that's Julia Thomas with it. With Regan Silvers out of this game, Julia is poised to step up and maybe overtake her as the leading scorer on this team, but her role expands.
Again, they'll have to do a good job tonight. Coach Hackman will have to do a good job with game management to make sure she has fresh legs, because they're going to rely on her heavily tonight in this game.
Janeway. Force wide. And they'll bring it back out up top. Olivia Silva. Silva's directing traffic, and now here's Julia Thomas. Thomas on goal. She draws the foul. So she'll have an opportunity from the 8 meters. Of course, the clock continues to run on these. Thomas, the outside charges, shoots, scores! Julia Thomas puts the Broncos on the board. First goal of the game for Julia, 16th goal of the year. One behind Regan Silvers.
Great to get on the scoreboard. Just a tick over 2 minutes gone in the first quarter. Always nice to have the first goal. I don't know what the statistics would be, but I would assume they would be high in favor of the team that scores first. That generally seems to be a trend that you see in high school sports. Those that score first tend to control the momentum of the game and end up on top. So good sign for the Broncos to start.
So Hackman and Valencia will battle it out again at the draw circle. Broncos control. Right out front. Hackman. Janeway to the right side. Cuts towards the middle of the net. Spins around, lost the ball, and draws the foul. So I see that they do have the penalty flags here, but they don't throw them. They just bring them out. And they hold them.
Yeah, kind of like airing your dirty laundry, literally.
Here's Janeway. Save. Looks like that's Chloe Castle in goal with the chrome helmet. We've had two players that played the goal position. He's got a 42% save percentage this season. Broncos control. That's Presley Rocker Hooper. Thomas. Right out front, the swinging low shot, score!
What a pass.
That's Danny Janeway that scores. Yes, indeed, what a pass.
Whew. If you blinked, you missed that, folks, watching on the live stream.
Broncos are up 2-0.
So fouls, when they actually call them off, we go with the flag. If it's just a violation in the shooting area, just release it.
Say that one.
They will throw a flag if it's a foul. Pulls the goal off the field.
So 8:25 to go in the first quarter of play, and the Broncos with a 2-0 lead. Exactly what the way they would want this one to start. Especially as they look to bounce back from their first loss of the year.
So it was over the heads. They're going to redo the draw, it looks like.
Like this one's is this gonna go over to Whitney? It looks like it is.
Yeah, I think they Bella Vista touched it before it crossed the retaining line.
Whitney working it behind the net. Good defense by the Broncos, but I think they might have drawn a foul as well.
A little too good, I think. Eight-meter shot coming up here, it looks like. Number 14 is going to take it.
We get a foul called. Are we going to do this again?
Looks like.
And again, it is Patty Smith that's going to take it again.
Wide.
And that does go wide.
You know, loving the beautiful weather here tonight, but one thing that I'm not used to in the game so far is the mosquitoes are out this evening.
Aye.
Yes, they are.
Just with the warmer weather, comes those lovely mosquitoes. So Whitney retains it.
Bella Vista doing a good job on defense to close off that attack. Emerson Barker was the one that had it. Here's a shot and a score for Whitney.
Whitney goal.
And does that go to Patty Smith? I think it might have been Patty Smith that got that goal, number 14. So Whitney's on the board. It is now a 2-1 game.
Defense for the Broncos has a little meeting of the minds to figure out where they need to make some adjustments, as they have done all season, led by goalkeeper Elsie Ballard, who is sort of the captain of that defensive unit, if you will. We're ready to go again.
Paige Hackman controls that one for BV. And they'll bring it back out top. Janeway just scored a goal a moment ago. Whitney in possession. Janeway and some nice defense there to jar the ball loose. And they're able to get the ball to Castle, the goalie.
Goalkeeper needs to get rid of it. She does, just in enough time. Almost in violation there.
bring some mosquito repellent in the future.
Yeah, they seem to be getting heavier as the evening goes on.
Or
Nightness,
a
darkness
net or
falls.
something. Some good defense by Bella Vista to jar the ball loose. That was a promising scoring opportunity for Whitney that doesn't work out for him. Silva on goal. Sharp angle shot right into the possession of Chloe Castle, the goalie. Another save for her. This is Kate Hooper that comes up with it near midfield. Scored a couple of goals in the West Park game, her first varsity goals of her career. Centering pass out front. Shot goes out of bounds. Sophia Watson controls the possession for Bella Vista. Inside McKenna Rose. And now it's back out top to Paige Hackman. So Silva once again. Silva's looking to drive. Looking to dodge. Loose ball. And a whistle. Should draw an opportunity here from the 8-meter circle. Be a bit of an angle. Right at about third base, if you will.
That's a pretty good description, I think.
It looks like she's going to be back out at the 12.
So it may see more of an offensive passing attempt here than a shot. We'll have to see.
Silva. Working her way out in front. This is Janeway. Will take it to the X and loop her way around. Looking for Watson. Watson picks it up. Sounds like a call for a timeout. And the Broncos looked like they were kind of struggling a little bit on that possession. Scott Hackman identified that, and he was ready to take the timeout.
Yeah, one of the things I love about Coach Hackman and the way that he runs this varsity program is that when he sees something that he doesn't like, rather than he'll let them struggle a little bit, but when they can't figure it out on their own and he has a timeout available, he generally will take it, let the girls reset, get some water, and then he'll physically draw up what they should be doing in that situation, and then let them go back out. Now, the reality is when they come out of the timeout, they may not be back in that situation, but the hope is if they find themselves in that position later in the game, they'll remember and have that recall because they were immediately just there when he showed them. It's a good coaching technique. And the goalie earlier in the game that for Whitney should have been called, Chloe Castle, should have been called a couple of times, I think, for going back to the crease, which she's not allowed to do when she comes out. So, not quite sure what you would call that in lacrosse and wrestling. You would call that stalling.
One of the things that we talked about during the boys' game on Wednesday night against Del Oro is it's only illegal if you get caught. So
This is very true. Very true.
the game is played by humans. It is broadcast by humans. Sometimes the technology acts as though it's human.
That's right.
And it's also refereed by humans.
That's right.
So and it's important that we all remember that. It's also important, and David Houseworth made this point very well taken. It's something that I take to heart when I coach basketball and soccer. It was also brought up a lot, and that is the referees have a hard job.
Oh, extremely.
And if we didn't have them, we couldn't play.
Amen.
And so, yeah, it's very easy to get on someone because they're human. But you got to understand that they need support too.
Right. And that's part of what makes the game what it is that you have that element of human error. So we're coming out of the timeout.
It'll be Bronco ball because they were the ones that called the timeout. boys team, by the way, is in Rockland tonight. Rockland, that's where Whitney's located, and also Rockland High School. Very, here's a shot and a score for Bella Vista. That's Paige Hackman.
Broncos goal.
Well, you couldn't have really.
Welcome back, Paige Hackman.
Yeah, and you couldn't have really called that better out of a timeout. You take a timeout to reset, you come back and score almost immediately.
So 2:13 to go in the second quarter. It's now 3-1 in favor of Bella Vista.
What I was trying to kind of read lips there a little bit as Paige Hackman came off to substitute out, giving feedback to her dad, who happens to be the coach as well, on what she's seen on the field, which is useful as a coach.
Julia Thomas taking the draw here.
It was over the head again, so they're going to redraw.
Give Paige a break. She earned it,
Yeah.
especially after scoring that goal. That's Kate Hooper that scoops it up. Good hustle by Julia Thomas. Also, a couple of kids that went to kindergarten together. And early elementary school years.
Louisiana is doing a good job drawing, picking up a foul against Whitney there.
And she will launch here now from the 12-meter line. Thomas.
Oh,
Nice job by Castle.
it's a great job by Castle. It's actually a great pass by Chloe.
Gold chrome helmet. She's going to have to get rid of that.
Uh-huh. She's going to run out of time.
Janeway comes up with a loose ball. Right out in front. Julia Thomas out front. And she drew the foul.
Well, that's good because I don't think it was going in. It was a good look. Which gets another shot from the 8-meter.
Thomas in on goal. Shoots, scores! Julia Thomas, 17th goal of the year. She is now tied for the team lead.
That's a great goal to get right as the first quarter's drawn to a closer. 38 seconds.
38 seconds to go, and the Broncos lead this one 4-1 now. It's going to go Bella Vista's way. Oh, no, yes it is. Okay. Hard to read the official signals sometimes. And that's on me. I need to get used to the lacrosse signals. So I'm not criticizing the refs.
Well, it looked like the official there, she was not happy. I heard her directing where Whitney needed to stand, but she was not happy with that, made him redo it. And now Yanez has the ball, bringing it up the center. Dicing. Ooh, it almost was a shot.
Bella Vista still in possession, and the first quarter will come to a close. So we have one quarter in the books. Bella Vista 4 goals in that opening quarter, and off to a good start.
Yeah, I mean, I like that we have 3 different scores. Janway, 2 with Thomas, and 1 with Hackman. Much more aggressive than what we saw against Christian Brothers. I think that, and I think this is human nature. The game was very rough at Vintage. In many cases, frankly, too rough. And I think that as a team, what I saw on Tuesday night was just a more reserved team. So that in combination with missing 3 key players really changed the outlook of that game. Tonight, what I see already is more aggressiveness, more passing, more fighting for the ball, more being confident in your ability on the defense, and that's led so far to a good Bella Vista lead.
So as we are approaching halftime, just to give you a quick update, the boys varsity game in Rockland is about to get underway, so we will do our best to give you updates and keep you posted on how that is going. The JV game is complete. I haven't requested or even seen a score yet, so hopefully we might be able to find out how that went. Our camera operator on the boys' side, Stephanie DeGata, that's Chase Jones's mom. She is handling our video duties tonight out in Rockland, so we'll have our video posted on the lacrosse page here sometime this weekend. That's about the best I can guarantee you. There's a little post-production that has to go into that as well. So, but not that we want you to leave us, but if you are a family member of the boys team, you can jump over, if you have the subscription, to NFHSnetwork.com, and you'll be able to watch the Broncos and the Rockland Thunder tonight in boys action. We invite you to stay with us. You've tuned in to this because you're a fan of the girls team, and so we invite you to stay with us. Maybe stream it on a different device. How about that?
Well, yeah, and like any good story, you want to know how it ends, right? So you've already started this way. You've got through chapter 1. Stick around for 2, 3, and 4.
And Bella Vista at 4-1, you know, they're poised for a possible 5-1 start. The clock is running right now, and it's running all the way down. During
I think that was just a 2-minute break.
okay, that's right, because that's right.
That's a new rule this year.
You're right. I totally spaced on all of that because
I wondered about it too.
We did have the quarter break. So you're right. They do count the clock. That's something I'm not used to.
Well, and that's a new rule. Well, and for a lot of people, they're not used to it. It's a new rule this year. So the girls used to play halves. They now play 4 12-minute quarters, similar to the boys. 2-minute break in between quarters 1 and 2 and quarters 3 and 4. But we are set to go here for quarter 2.
That's a nice snag out of midair by Whitney to secure that draw, as we are now underway in the second quarter. Here's a chance and a shot, point blank. Nice job, L.C. Ballard. Battle for it on the sideline. Whitney comes up with it again. The outside. Defense by Bella Vista now. So then there's L.C. Ballard once again. Another rejection.
Great save. 2 in a row for her.
There's Thomas. Thomas with a lot of open field. Hackman. Paige Hackman. She's closed off. Looking to center the pass. Loose ball. And the ball is out of bounds. It's going to stay with Bella Vista. It's Fisher. Presley Rocker Hooper. And she scores! Presley Rocker Hooper rocking the back of the net. Her first goal of the game, 4th of the year. And the Broncos now jump out 5-1.
And that play was all set up by Eliza Fisher, chasing after the ball, keeping it in bounds, and being able to retain possession of it. That really, really helped set that up and keep the ball where the Broncos stayed on offense. So she won't get credit for an assist there, but she certainly assisted setting that play up, if you will.
Hackman will take the face-off for Bella Vista. Going up against Emerson Barker that time. Here comes Hackman. Silva. Olivia Silva once again. Closed off by a triple team. And Presley Rocker Hooper has her teammates back there. That's a nightmare for players. They think they have the ball controlled, getting ready to do something, and then it slips out of the back of the, or off the top of the stick. Hackman looking to attack, draws the foul, and she will line up at the 8-meter line.
Yeah, looks like on the right side of the fan zone.
Right out in front, Thomas! She scores!
What a goal.
Paige Hackman to Julia Thomas. Why do I get the feeling that we're going to be saying that a lot?
Yeah, you know, I've mentioned this, you've mentioned this in games previous, but that was another great example of where Hackman is just where she needs to be. She's not always scoring the goal, but she's setting up the goal. She's moving the ball, advancing it into her end, doing what she needs to do, and that was another great example of not taking the shot, but centering it over to Julia Thomas, who got it in the net for the Broncos.
Hackman wins the draw. It was interesting having the binoculars on her, having the way she had her head on a swivel, just moving around. Thomas attacking and draws the foul. Looking behind her, looking in front of her. The first thing I thought of is, and a lot of these players hear this a lot this time of their lives, checking your blind spot.
Yes.
So that's exactly how that looked. Thomas with an underhanded sweeping shot that is unsuccessful and will go out of bounds.
So that should still be Bronco ball because it was a shot on goal.
Correct.
Even though it went out the side, not the back of the end zone. And it
Right.
was-
The Broncos do keep possession. Here's Julia Thomas and a whistle. Oh, they're saying it was... Are they saying that was a pass?
She passed from outside the field.
Oh, she
Okay.
passed from outside the out of bounds, which you can't do. So that's
Okay.
now Whitney ball.
Collision with Claire Sayang winding up on the ground, but Bella Vista keeps possession. We'll check that Whitney with possession. Taking Dayog with it. Yeah, closed off by Thomas. Valencia. And now on the far side. This errant pass is going to go out of bounds, and Bella Vista will take control of the possession once again. So, leading goal scorer for Whitney, Emerson Barker, number 10, 10 goals on the season. Julia Thomas. So call the stick to the back. They're giving Julia some instructions on where she needs to come in. And the referee is very demonstratively telling the Whitney players to back up a little bit. Sadie Keogh. Keogh in on goal. Keogh, a sharp angle shot. She scores! Sadie Keogh, first varsity goal. Had 2 goals on JV last year, but now she's found the back of the net at the varsity level. And there's going to be some celebrations in the Kehoe household tonight.
Yes, there will be. We got family in town tonight, so that makes for a fun deal. And that's, you talk about weapons and moving the ball around and doing different things. That's well, we got a timeout here? Or?
It's like a timeout is being called.
Yeah, but, just building on that, we got lots of different weapons to, on the offensive side of the board. But one of the things you've got on the defense is you've got Sadie that at times can get the ball, take it up, and if she's got an open lane to take it all the way in, we'll do so. That also plays with a team, right? Because you have to worry about that. You don't typically have a defender scoring goals, but that's another just weapon that Bella Vista can build into this, and that makes them very dangerous.
Indeed. I can think back to last season when my son scored his first goal. He was a long stick midi on the boys' side. And they don't really score a lot either.
Sure.
But he made a great play at midfield with the long stick, charged in right to the middle of the field, had the opportunity, took the shot, and he scored. And it was exactly just like you're saying.
Yeah.
You're not going to have those opportunities, but they do pop up at times.
Yeah.
And I give Sadie credit for seeing that opportunity and making it happen.
Well, and if you're Whitney, now on the timeout, you go, okay, well, now we got to worry about 18 running the ball up too, right? That's just one more thing when you're down, by 6 goals, and we're not to halftime yet. That's something you got to be concerned about. So really, really impressive play. This looks like, really, I mean, as silly as this sounds, this looks like the same Bronco team that you and I did earlier, a couple weeks ago, before the road trip. Looked like the same team against West Park, same team against Vintage. They just didn't look this way against Christian Brothers, and that's their only loss.
Right, and of course they were missing some key players.
Right.
But Regan Silvers is hurt and not able to play tonight, but having Paige Hatfield back, yes. And Paige Martin is playing too, so we have both Pages in this.
Right, both Pages.
And we haven't called the name Sienna DeMucha yet tonight. We called her sister's name a lot in the JV game.
We did,
but we haven't called her name a lot in the varsity game. But she's back after the red card as well. We do understand there are some players that are missing tonight. For Bella Vista, Mallory Fitzhugh is she's sick.
Yep.
And Autumn Shannon, I believe it's just a prior commitment.
Yeah, she was gone. Yeah, something was going on. I don't know if she was out of town or.
And then of course it's we talked about Regan Silvers with the injury. Hopefully she'll be back. Won't miss too much.
It's encouraging to see her down there supporting her team. Obviously Tuesday, again, from what I heard from other teams during the week, just in too much pain to be really standing. So really, really good to see her down there tonight. Hopefully she's not pushing it too hard, too fast.
Broncos scoop this one up. On the move. Some new players into the game. Marilyn Morgan is in now for DB. On the baseline, Lilith Vidana. She was just called up to the varsity. Playing early in the season on the JV. She's actually played varsity the last couple of years, but started the season this year on the JV. Maybe she was coming back from an injury or something. Here's a centering pass. Goes awry, but Whitney back in possession. And they'll swing it back out.
Broncos doing a great job keeping the Wildcats outside.
This is Barker. Barker, sharp angle shot. She scores.
Just as I say that.
Whitney goal.
Emerson Barker, her 11th goal of the season. Had 4 goals in their March 1st game against Roseville.
That was a tough shot, and I think, you can see why that went in when your leading scorer took it.
That makes it 7-2. And we will get a draw here at midfield. Julia Thomas will take this one. Looks like that is Megan Dayog that will take it for Whitney. Players will line up opposite each other. You can do this side by side as well. Dayog controls. This is Sabrina Miller. Miller on Presley Rocker Hooper. Dayog once again works off a screen. Closed off on a double team. Vidana once again. Got a whistle.
Yeah, I think that was Keo there, kind of with a slash that wasn't a slash.
And then she has she's assigned with the task of go finding the ball too.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
You knock it out of bounds, I guess.
Empty check. Didn't have the ball.
Empty check.
Ah, there we go.
So Sadie Keogh goes and gets the ball and then hands it off to an opposing team. Or opposing
player, yeah. That's
Vidana.
awesome.
Paige Martin with the defense on Vidana. Nice move by Dayog, gets free. There's a shot that deflects off of Elsie Ballard. Miller was closed off. She looked like she had an opportunity to attack the net, but BV's defense equal to the task. Right out in front, that pass is too high. Loose ball. Bella Vista stays on defense here. There's a shot and a score for Whitney.
Whitney.
And that may have been Emerson Parker again.
Broncos are going to have to be careful here now. We talked about this a little bit in the JV game about the power of momentum. And that's a lot of time here in the second quarter that ball has stayed on the defensive side of the field for the Broncos. So need to make a few adjustments there to try to break that up and get back on the offense. And that could start with Paige Hackman being back out to take the draw at center field.
Broncos control this one. In fact, it was Paige Hackman. Good hustle on her part. Morgan. And now Whitney is on the move. The pass was just a little too tall. Nice scoop by Thomas. Thomas on the move. Thomas winds up, scores! Julia Thomas, 4 goals! She's going to have to start wearing some green
I
shoes.
guess, yeah. If you're with us for the JV game, you'll know what that's all about. Yeah. So that was a great example again. Selfless behavior. So just a little bit ago, we had 18. Sadie Keogh plays defense, came all the way up, all the way and scored. Elsie Ballard passed the ball out after she scooped up on that attempt. Sadie had it again, starts running up. Whitney thinks, uh-oh, here she comes again. Just lobs it up the field, right in the way for Julie to get it, take it all the way in for the shot. Great job mixing it up.
Broncos increase their lead. We've got a violation on the draw.
Yeah, that's on Whitney. That's a check.
So 5-goal game now for Bella Vista. 1:30 to go before halftime. Silva works off a screen from Fisher. Silva right out front. Closed off. Loose ball. Whitney controls. This is Dayog. Nice catch there, but then some good defense on the part of Bella Vista to keep it loose. Barker. 2 goals tonight. Dayog once again. She's got some quicks. She's got some good moves too. Tried to work through a double team there, and she drew the foul. No, it's going to go the other way. Committed the foul, I guess. Whitney is having more success, at least possessing the ball, not so much finding the goal. They've only scored 3 times. Paige Hackman on the move. Has 1 goal tonight already. Hackman tries to go through 2 players. Player is down.
That looked more like their feet got tangled up. They called a foul there against Bella Vista, against Hackman, but it seemed more like their feet got tangled up.
Claire Sayang is the one that went down, but she was quickly up. And there is the buzzer to sound the end of the first half here at Bella Vista High School. It is 8-3 in favor of the Broncos as they will head off to the sidelines and get their halftime instructions.
This is frozen.
We're going to take a bit of a break. When we come back, we will we'll get you ready for the second half of play. The Broncos are in front with a 8-3 lead here at the break.
Bridging the gap between where you are today and where you want to be in the future. With planning as our foundation, we help our clients.
So are we frozen? The camera's on.
For a second, I want to wipe the lens.
You need to what?
I want to wipe the lens.
Hang on just a second.
Well, the lens
Otherwise, it'd
looks.
be like a big flag.
Hold on just a second.
That's weird. I've never seen that one freeze up before.
Okay, Art.
Ladies and gentlemen, we provide the flavor you can trust at the lacrosse snack bar. It might be time to raise that blood sugar level, grab a tasty treat. We offer a selection of goodies from $1 to $2. So check it out and tell us if the sound booth sent you.
Mercedes defended 10. That's our best player.
Yeah. Did you unfreeze it? No.
No, I think it probably changed next.
Oh, that's weird. Okay.
It does that, unfortunately. Oh,
She's not on the roster.
you got your face on camera.
Whatever.
Extreme
It
close up.
didn't break, so that's a good sign, right?
iPad doesn't work as well as iPhone did. This thing is kicking itself out of focus.
Oh, you know
more
what?
frequently.
Hang on a second. Let's see what we
I
can
noticed
do.
that on here.
Let's see what we can do here.
Hey, so
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
only
here we
because
go.
it was my kid down there, so I'm curious now. That empty check.
Yeah,
So if you hit it and there's no ball in it, that's the foul.
that's the fact.
Okay.
It's an empty check. You cannot touch the other girl's stick if she doesn't have the ball.
Okay, but if the ball's in the crotch, then it's fair.
Oh,
game.
it's fair game.
Okay.
If it's outside the 12-inch sphere.
Right, okay.
You got to be out here. She got it up out on the end of her arm. It's just fair game.
Okay, that
She
makes
got it down
sense.
here. Who cares? But if it's empty, you can't touch
You
it.
can't touch it. Okay.
And that happened again over here.
Yeah.
McKenna got an empty check as they were going
Okay,
for the
that's
ball.
what it
She
is.
she
Knocked
whacked
it.
the girl's stick again.
Okay.
So, and there's also, you can kind of see it. There's what they call the goal line extended. So you're talking about the baseline.
Yeah.
Well, there's actually, it's right through the plane of the goal,
Okay.
right through the plane of the pipes.
Yep.
There's a GLE that extends all the way out, essentially to the end. So there's times that they will actually set you up behind the GLE,
Oh.
much like the same as what they call the fan or the critical scoring area.
Yeah.
Right. There's also a GLE that extends out. It's restricted space, so they can push players out to those locations as well.
Oh, okay.
So
That's what I love about this. You learn, like every time I
there's
come
so
in, I
many
learn.
weird
just-
little nuances.
just-
Yeah, but I
drop-
love it because
yeah,
you just
drop the network.
Well, and the thing is, even the other night
don't
when we
know
were
why
at
it does
Vintage, and I was listening to some of the vintage parents,
sorry.
and I like in my I was like, no, that's boys lacrosse. That's like even I know that, and I don't know a lot, but I know that, you know. That's what because I mean, I coach wrestling. I know wrestling rules really well, and it's frustrating when you hear parents, you know, they'll yell out something like, "No, that's wrong. That's not correct. That's
Not how it works."
Right, exactly. It's like, no, that was actually, you know, or like, oh, yeah, that ref's not doing a great job, but that actually was correct. That
I'm not
was the right
updating
thing.
the
to
clock
do.
or the
So
scoreboard.
Tyler's been sitting with the rules on his phone the whole time trying to read them.
Oh, Uncle Tyler's probably
So,
lost.
what's the point? What's the
What's the
point in
point?
what's the point in streaming?
How much do you pay? How much do
It's
they charge?
$11. It's $11 a month.
11 bucks a
They're
month
not
for
updating
that.
the scoreboard or the clock, so I have no idea.
I have no idea what's
I've
going
seen
on.
at least in my periphery. I've seen at least a couple of face-offs. So I think there've been a couple of goals. That's just ridiculous.
What time's left on it?
Oh,
okay,
6
hey,
to
we're
7.
back.
The boys.
We're gonna bring it back right now.
Okay.
Welcome back. We are at halftime. The Broncos leading this one by a score of 8-3, as we are about ready to bring you the second half of play here at Bella Vista. George Tharlson, Aaron Keogh with you as we are ready for the second half. Again, just a really impressive first half by Bella Vista. They did give up the 3 goals, but they've got 8 on the board themselves. And again, that's without their, who used to be, well, she has the co-leading scorer now.
That's right.
Their co-leading scorer, Regan Silvers. You got to believe that if she were playing tonight, that it would probably be even more of a gap.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, really, really impressed with what I saw from Bella Vista in the first half. Knowing Coach Hackman, they're going to make adjustments. They're going to try to get better. That's the whole goal here. But really liked a lot of the movement on the ball, different scores, and even on the defense. I mean, 2 of the goals
All right, ladies and gentlemen,
of
get ready
the
to go.
3
Get these girls
for
some
Whitney
love.
and
Let's
Evan
hear
Emerson
for
Parker,
them.
who is their leading scorer. So there's a reason she's the leading scorer.
All right, so 2 more quarters left to go, 2 12-minute quarters. Clock runs most of the time. If you're not completely familiar with how girls lacrosse works, the quarters are a new thing this year. It used to be halves. So let's get the second half underway. Dayog controls it for Whitney. On the move, they're going right to left. Keogh with the defensive assignment. And Keogh picks it up. Mindful of that out of bounds line. Nice pass. Morgan. Right out in front. Silva. Nice deflection by Chloe Castle. Broncos still in possession. Defense there by Whitney to deflect that pass away. It's like a whistle. Yanez will pick it up for Bella Vista. Here's Yanez. Hooper. Here's Thomas. Thomas, she's looking for an opportunity. Gets free. Nice spin move on the part of Julia Thomas. She draws the foul. Peyton Bradshaw had the defensive assignment most of the time. She gives up a few inches in height to Julia Thomas. Angle right. Thomas bounces the shot. She scores.
Goal number 15, Julia.
Julia Thomas with a 5 spot. She's about to get that sock trick.
That's right, the sock trick. Yeah. She looked hungry for a goal there, though. I mean, that's really, without seeing her eyes, that's really what her body language portrayed, was that she was hungry to get back on the scoreboard.
That's the way it looked. I was actually going to use the term smelling blood.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So Bella Vista comes out after the half, scores fairly quickly, establishes who's in control. I like that. I like that aggressive attack. Let's hope they can keep it up here.
it's the 18th goal of the season for Julia Thomas. Make sure I have that right. 20th goal of the season. Looking for blackjack. Gamblers might get that reference. Thomas. Attacks. Shot. That one's saved. Saved by Chloe Castle. Dayog comes up with it now for Whitney. Fisher and Thomas on her. You can hear the sticks collide. Hooper. Here's Olivia Silva. Silva. Sharp angle shot. Save Castle. Loose ball right at the top of the 8-meter line. This one's going to go over to Whitney. Dayog controls. Thomas with the defense. From the X. Out front. And Elsie Ballard winds up with it. There's Sienna DeMutra.
That's just what I was thinking. We hadn't mentioned her name, and there she was, making her presence felt on the defense.
And welcome back.
You know, we don't mention the defenders' names as much. We have a little bit tonight, but they do such a great job. But, you know, when you're not scoring.
Yanez had it for a second. There's a collision. So this will stay with Bella Vista. Silva right out front. He's looking for Janeway. Loose ball. Thomas is down there with Vidana. Janeway at the X. Off a screen from Fisher. Centering pass. Presley Rocker Hooper. Her second goal of the game.
for Hooper.
2 goals tonight, 5 on the year.
What a game she's having tonight.
Yeah. She's been around the ball, too, a lot.
She has.
Yes.
And this is what's great about high school athletics, right? Presley Rocker Hooper, like you mentioned, this is her 5th goal of the season. 3 goals coming into tonight, so not someone that typically is scoring a lot, but for whatever reason tonight, probably partly because she's having a really excellent game, probably partly because of how Whitney lines up and matches up against her, but she's shining, and they're exploiting that in the Wildcat defense, and that's great. Actually, behind Julia Thomas, she is the leading scorer tonight, so she's in 2nd place right now with 2 goals.
Thomas with 5 is now up to 20 on the season to lead the Broncos. There's some good defense to jar it loose for a second. Back behind the net once again. And a score.
That was Barker again.
Whitney goal.
That is a hat trick for Emerson Barker. And that brings us now to a 10-4 game. That was just good execution on the part of Whitney, the way they were able to move the ball around.
Yeah, and sometimes that's going to happen. I mean, as good as your defense is, sometimes the other team is going to have a good play. They're going to move the ball around good, and that's what's going to happen.
They're playing 5 and back.
So we'll
They're playing defense.
get this one
So
drawn here. Go ahead.
Whitney's also moved to playing 5 in the back to try to help on the defensive side, to try to help with that Bronco attack. So we'll see what that does here as it goes. Normally you play with 4 back, they've got 5 now, which you're allowed to do.
Right out in front, there's a shot. And a foul.
That ought to bring it to that critical scoring area, in the 8-meter line, the fan, to be able to.
Paige Hackman will take this one. Winds up, shot, and that one goes wide. Broncos bring it in. That's McKenna Rose. And now it's coming back the other way. Barker. Dayok had it for a second. Loose ball, and it's picked up by the Broncos.
That's Sienna again.
Sienna DeMucha on the run. She has numbers. This ball. And a collision. This one will stay with Whitney. And another one. Annie Zern, number 9.
Yeah, that's going to be Bronco. I heard that up here.
So Kate Hooper will bring it in. Silva and another whistle.
Oh,
Keep going because you can.
I forgot I wasn't down on the field there for a minute.
So again, Silva will pick it up. On the move. Closed off. Goal line extended, backing in. Right out in front of the net. Loose ball. Kate Hooper scoops it up. Hooper on the move. Here's Morgan. Morgan, spin move right in front of the net. And draws a foul. So she's right at the top of the 8-meter line. Morgan on the move and loses the ball. Probably a little bit of contact there right as she shot. Picks it back up again. Draws the another foul. So good work by Marilyn Morgan. Morgan with another shot. That one's deflected by Castle.
Lost her
Winds
stick.
up on the ground, yes. And Kate Hooper in control once again. It's a massive game of keep away right now.
Finally a whistle, but I don't know.
Nobody seemed to want to grab that one.
Thomas back into the game for the Broncos after a valiant, just great effort by Marilyn Morgan.
Here's Davila. Play it back to Castle. You know, I've got to give Castle a lot of credit on that chrome helmet. All it needs is a purple W. Still trying to control it, and finally, that is Patty Smith that comes up with it for Whitney. And now it's Sabrina Miller. Looking to attack. Here's a swinging shot. Elsie Ballard equal to the task there.
Sienna DeMucha sacrificed her body for that one. Fell down in between the goal.
Here's Keogh. Scored her first varsity goal earlier this evening. On the move, on the attack, Sadie Keogh trying to get through everyone once again. She had the momentum going her way, but then all of a sudden she got stuck in traffic.
I got a little overeager on that one. Maybe should have passed that off.
There's Dayog. And the third quarter comes to an end. 3 quarters in the books here at Bella Vista High School. It is a 10-4 game in favor of the Broncos. Again, very impressive night for Bella Vista.
Bronco fans, you guessed it. It's snack o'clock. Might be time to hit that snack bar and check out.
Those of you at home probably just heard it snack o'clock too. So you can go ahead during this 2-minute break. You could go to your refrigerator and find whatever is there.
I cannot find an update on the boys game.
Yeah, we're probably not getting score updates, and unfortunately, on the NFHS feed, they're not updating the score bug on the bottom of the screen, and so we're not able to really check in on that either. So we are here at the end of the as we transition to the fourth quarter of play. with Aaron Keogh. I'm George Tharlson. The Broncos 4-1 coming into this game, and after the disappointing loss on Tuesday to Christian Brothers, they have bounced back in a rather impressive way tonight.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this at the top of the show, or the top of the game, rather. Just, the measure of a team is how they bounce back after defeat, and so far the Broncos are checking all the boxes. So really impressed with what they're doing tonight.
Julia Thomas, I don't think she's found the net in the second half, but she's got, well, maybe she did once in that third quarter, but
Yeah.
she's at 5 goals for the night. One more, and we're going to be talking about socks instead of shoes.
That's
but,
right.
But still, she's been very impressive tonight. 20 goals on the year. Presley Rocker Hooper has 2 goals tonight, second leading scorer, and you mentioned that she's had a really impressive game this evening. So you know what? Players stepping up when other players aren't here. And
Yeah.
Mallory Fitzhugh, one of the captains, isn't here. Regan Silvers is out for a couple of weeks with the calf injury. Presley Rocker Hooper is one who has stepped into a role tonight, take advantage of some additional opportunities.
Yeah, so, as we move into the fourth quarter now, what we really got to, this game is not over. And if you're Whitney, that has to be the message you have to your players. 6 goals is not unsurmountable in a quarter of play. So Bella Vista is going to have to stay sharp. They're going to have to stay aggressive. We'd really like to see them get on the board early again in the quarter, as they've done in the first and third quarters, to continue to establish the superiority here tonight in the game. You definitely don't want to let the momentum shift back to Whitney in any way, shape, or form over these final 12 minutes.
Yeah, I think what Bella Vista wants to do in this fourth quarter is impose their will.
Yes.
They have dominated throughout. Take it to the end, and then enjoy the weekend. Hackman. Fisher will try to chase that one down. Conscious of that blue line she was. Working it behind the play here. And we get a whistle. Looks like that's staying with Bella Vista. Oh no, it's going over to Whitney.
That's going to be a yellow card, I think. It is against number 11.
That is Veronica Efimkin.
Back to the Broncos.
Janeway, right out in front, was looking for Thomas. And Castle controls. Julia Thomas. Thomas in front. Triple teamed. Brings it back out. We'll reset the offense. Right out in front, Hackman. That one skies over the net and out of bounds, but Bella Vista will keep possession. Fisher. Hackman once again double teamed. Thomas. Sweeping shot and a whistle. Thomas will get a shot here from the 8-meter mark. Actually, it looks like she's going from the outside. No, it is the 8-meter. I'm sorry. She winds up, sweeping shot. She scores! Julia Thomas with the sock trick.
There we go. Get your socks out, everybody.
Or the double hattie, or whatever you want to call it.
It's a lot of goals, George. That's what it is. It's a
Well,
lot
what
of
she
goals.
needs 3 more to get the triple hattie.
That's right, yeah.
And we have 9:36 to go in this one.
Still possible.
Broncos now lead 11-4. 6 goals on the night for Julia Thomas, 21 for the season.
So they've done, in my coaching mind, what they needed to do right off the bat: come out and score, put another point between them and Whitney. And now you want to just keep the pressure on here. Whitney obviously shorthanded with that penalty. That was kind of what started that. And
So we'll have a face-off here at midfield. 7-goal lead for the Broncos.
we should note that penalty for Whitney is a non-releasable penalty. So Afkin is still in the box. The virtual box. That's not actually a box, but
The penalty area, I guess.
there we go. That's probably a better way to describe it.
There's a swinging shot and another goal for Bella Vista.
Goal for number 15, Julia.
That's Julia
And
again.
that's Julia Thomas again. That's number 7. She's 2 away from the triple Hattie.
She didn't waste much time getting number 7.
No,
so
not at all.
She's got more time to work on 8 and 9 now. But she had a good look there, and I think that's really what set that up. The defense, she just caught him standing still a little bit and just took advantage of that.
So we'll have another face-off here. Emerson Barker was taking the face-off for Whitney. Broncos control, and it's Chloe Yanez, the number 10 in white, with possession. Good defense on the outside, but actually a bit of there was a foul, so Bella Vista will keep possession. Chloe Yanez will line up outside the 8-meter zone. Yanez will attack, and now she'll spin it back behind the net. Thomas, the freshman, who doesn't play like a freshman. Doesn't look like a freshman either. Collision. And so Julia's going to get a shot. She should, I believe. Or is this going over to Whitney? Yeah, this goes over to Whitney. Defense by Julia Thomas. She's forced to the outside. Looking to attack. Right side. Presley Rocker Hooper. Hooper out front. She'll take a swinging shot. Nice save. Kick save and a beaut by Castle. This will stay with Whitney. 7:52 to go.
Well, Eliza Fisher's come into the penalty box now.
Well, she had the defensive assignment on Castle, and the whistle definitely blew. So Fisher will come to the penalty box.
For a slash, that's what. So she'll spend 2 minutes in the box now in the area for slashing.
Here's Veronica Finkin, speaking of players that were in the penalty box.
Yeah, she's back out now. Trying to make a difference.
Thomas picks it up. Sitting on 7 for the night. Thomas attacks. Sweeping shot, that one. Scores!
Broncos goal, 15.
Julia Thomas, goal number 8.
Well, now she has to get 9, George.
Mateo Polanco on the boys team had an 8-goal game earlier this year, which was a career high for him in goals. It was number 7 of those 8 was his 100th goal of the game. So Julia Thomas has now equaled the single game high, at least for this season, for Bella Vista Lacrosse.
Well, and you know she wants to get 9 now. I mean, it's almost.
Anything you can do,
That's
I
right.
can do better.
Very true.
And certainly wishing Mateo Polanco and the boys best of luck in Rockland this evening. Again, we were hoping we could bring you score updates, but it was not working out for us. So we hear anything, we will certainly pass it along. For our crew that's working the game from the Bella Vista side, we don't really want to bug them while they're doing some important work for us.
I see a little frustration mounting now with Whitney. I see a little harder checks coming, a little more in desperation.
Silva. Janeway. And there's a whistle. Looks like this one is going to go over to Whitney.
She was in the crease.
Okay, crease violation.
Crease, yep. Doesn't matter that I don't think she meant to do that. She kind of stumbled in there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, rules are rules.
You know, you drop something and it breaks. You don't mean to drop it, but unfortunately it's still broken, right?
That's right.
Battle for the ball, and Whitney comes up with it. Trailing 13-4. Wildcats on the run. Miller. Paige Martin there to close her off. Miller in front. Save Elsie Ballard. Kate Hooper using some of those soccer skills to kick that one away. Kate Hooper played soccer for Bella Vista this year and has played it as in youth programs, basketball as well. Not at BV, but here's a shot out in front of the net and a score. That's Dayog that gets that one. That's the 5th goal of the year for Megan Dayog, her first of the night.
Elsie could have had a stick twice that big and wouldn't have stopped that. That was just a really nice play by the Wildcats.
Right out in front like that. Those are the hardest shots to save.
Yeah. It was fast too. The pass was crisp. It was fast. Broncos didn't really stand a chance on that.
Right.
The good news is the clock continues to run down, just under 5 minutes now, so that is in favor of the Broncos obviously as well, with an 8-score lead.
Face off at midfield. And a violation. And this is going to be possession to Bella Vista.
She was early entry on the transition.
So there was early entry there on the transition by the Wildcats, and that's going to result in Bella Vista having an opportunity here. Having. Past tense now.
Having had, maybe?
Yeah, having had. There we go.
Yes, we even bring you grammatical updates here.
We'll do it all.
That's our job. Barker. Barker amidst the sirens in the background. We've had plenty of those in Fair Oaks today.
Got a crazy day.
Watch your local news tonight to find out what happened. Ballard. Good roll behind the net. There's Sadie Keogh again. Keogh on the move. Now they're converging on her. Goes wide. Smart move on her part. Loops back around. Takes another shot. And that goes wide.
The net moved, and I thought,
We saw that. We saw one of those in the boys' game on Wednesday where it hit the side of the net, and that does confuse a lot of people, especially at the angle we're at. That was a good look, though.
yeah.
Broncos. There's Silva. Silva with the bright orange shoes, trying to secure possession there. And looks like she's going to line up at the 8-meter mark. Silva winds up with a shot. Saved by Castle. That's out of bounds. Should stay with, or should go over to Whitney.
Yeah, it goes to Whitney, yeah. So we wind down close to 2 minutes now. Castle with it again.
Broncos back in possession. For a moment, now play Castle. Presley Rocker Hooper. Mindful of the blue line on the side there. Hooper. A couple of players in front of the net. Here's Keogh again. Keogh right out in front, and that one goes wide. That's another good look.
That's going to be in the crease again. Crease violation. Over to Whitney.
1:17 to go and counting. Julia Thomas is on the sideline right now, which is probably not a bad call at this point with the injuries and absences already and the possibility of not wanting to get anybody else hurt.
Yeah, I mean, 2 more games next week that arguably Regan Silvers is going to miss at a minimum. So you don't want anyone else getting hurt.
So, well, it would be cool to see Julia get goal number 9. It's not a huge priority because the Broncos are going to close this one out and move to 5-1 on the year. All out of bounds on the far sideline. Clock continuing to run with a 13-5 game. There aren't as many clock stoppages in girls' play. This is Miller. Miller on the move collides with Marilyn Morgan. Both of them wind up on the ground. Clock continuing to run. Doesn't stop on the foul. We're under 7 seconds to go. And the Broncos have it, and they're just going to let this one wind down. The final seconds of the game are going to tick off, and the Bella Vista Broncos took control of this one early, maintained control throughout, and in the end, they wind up with a 13-5 victory to move to 5-1 on the year. So a very impressive performance tonight by the Lady Broncos of Bella Vista.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for coming out to tonight's game. We'll be back here on
George Tharlson, Aaron Keogh with you. The Broncos, we were wondering what might happen tonight. We know that the Whitney boys program is very, very good. We were wondering where in the echelon the Whitney girls team fell, Bella Vista, and where does Bella Vista fall? This is a very good team that is now off to a 5-1 start. And the only loss, again, they were missing some key players. Scott Hackman has to be very, very happy with where his team is right now.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, to be 5-1 after being 4-13 last year, I mean, what more can you say, right? But really, really impressed overall with how the Broncos bounced back tonight. Their ability to move the ball well, to pass it. I mean, obviously, you can't say enough about Julian Thomas, but shout out to Presley Rocker Hooper for stepping up tonight too and having a couple of goals. Just really, really good effort by the Broncos.
So Julia Thomas, 8 goals tonight, which ties the single game high across both lacrosse programs for Bella Vista. Mateo Polanco with 8 goals against Nevada Union, and Julia Thomas tonight with 8 goals against Whitney. Just an incredible performance for her, having to step in and take on more responsibility with Regan Silvers out through next week.
Yeah, and this is part of the game. I mean, the nice part about this too is even when Regan comes back, you have an opportunity if you get into a game where there's a lot of running back and forth, and you sense that Regan maybe needs some fresh legs. Okay, well now you have people that you have confidence in being able to deliver. And up until tonight, Tuesday night, you maybe didn't have that confidence because they hadn't had that opportunity. So that's also a really good positive when you have players that are out.
Well, next up for Bella Vista after tonight's game, in fact, the opponents for the boys and the girls team will mirror each other this week, although the locations are going to be what is different. Coming up on the 20th of March, so that'll be on Wednesday, the girls will be at Vista del Lago. And the boys are hosting Vista del Lago here on Wednesday night as well, and that will be our next live stream broadcast for lacrosse. Is the boys' game against Vista del Lago, and we know the boys' Vista del Lago team is very, very impressive. For the girls, I was looking at it a little bit earlier, and I'm just calling it up right now just to verify. But the Vista del Lago girls program is. Wait for it to pop up on my screen here. Sometimes these things
never pops up as quickly as you want.
No, it doesn't. Sometimes you have to tap it twice. 3-2-1. I guess they actually had a tie this year. I believe that if you go maybe double overtime and still don't score, game ends in a tie. But yes, they did their second game of the year. They tied Granite Bay at 10. So Vista del Lago is.
Looks like they beat Whitney
17-2. So if you want to look at common opponents, the Broncos win this one 13-5. They beat Whitney 17-2. Be very, very interesting matchup up in Folsom next week.
Yep.
And I will be very curious to.
I'll send you updates. I'll be there.
Here's some updates. That would be fantastic. Our special correspondent at that game.
That's right.
For the. Bella Vista girls program, and then they will be playing Davis here on Friday night, and just want to give you a little scouting report on Davis. So I'll have that for you in just a second.
And the boys will be at Davis.
And
right?
the boys will be at Davis.
Okay.
So it's interesting how the schedules actually come together next week. It's Vista and Davis week next week, and again, I know that for the boys program, Vista del Lago and Davis are two very, very elite teams on the same level as the Whitney boys program. So the girls will be taking on the Davis Blue Devils. Davis is 2-2 on the season, and if we look at their records, look for some common opponents. We don't see any common opponents there, but their 2 wins, 15-10 over Justin Siena and 15-14 over Folsom. So be interesting to see. That is a home game, although our next live stream here for the girls program will be on April 5th when they take on West Park. So that is kind of our upcoming schedule plans. And again, for the boys team, they will take on Vista del Lago this coming Wednesday, and we'll have that live stream for you as well, starting at 5:30 with the JV game and 7:30 with the varsity game. So heading into a weekend, a couple of important ones next week against Vista del Lago and Davis. Obviously, Coach Hackman's going to want them to rest up, take in all practices that they can take in before that next game, but also understand what they have accomplished in 6 games so far in jumping out to a 5-1 record. This is a girls team that went 4-13 last year, so he definitely has them moving in the right direction.
Yeah, and I think, anytime you're playing in sports, you want to play opponents that are better than you and see how your team reacts. Can you beat them? Can you compete? Can you, even hang with them, or are, they just a little bit too tough? And so that's part of sport. We'll see what happens next week with Vista and Davis, but I'm excited. I'm excited for what this program has done and excited for what the future holds.
All right, so we'll go ahead and wrap it up as the Broncos win this one by a score of 13-5 here at Bella Vista High School. Thank you so much for joining us for the broadcast tonight. For our crew, Marla Mosier, our camera person for the JV contest, Art Fisher for the boys, our producer, Julie Tharlson. Now speaking for Aaron Keogh, I'm George Tharlson. Bella Vista wins this one 13-5.